I've been talking loads about motivation recently, about how to stay on point, keep on going and achieve your dreams. But something that always gets in the way of people feeling motivated is procrastination. And in this video, what I want to do is to discuss with you the main reasons why it is you procrastinate so you can stop doing it. And if you can stop doing it right now, it means you're so much more likely to achieve whatever it is you want from life. So the first reason why you procrastinate is because you always prefer doing an easier task. And easy tasks are something which give you a sense of validation, reward, but they don't actually necessarily lead you to get what you want from life. Because the easy tasks usually don't have any consequence. It's harder to fail. And you get a sense of enjoyment from completing them, but you're not actually getting anything in terms of a reward for doing it. It's a sort of short-term validation, I like to call it. And with that short-term validation, okay, it might pick you up for a couple of minutes, even an hour or so. But in terms of the long-term growth of you as a person, of your dreams, it's not gonna lead anywhere. There's nothing wrong with having short-term validation, but instead of just focusing wholeheartedly on that short-term validation, let's start broadening horizons. Let's start thinking about validation in a different way. Rather than it just being quick and easy, start thinking about that long-term goal. Okay, you won't get that instant buzz, but you're working towards something so much bigger. What I like to do personally is to have small gains within that long-term validation, because then it keeps me feeling happy and buzzed that I'm achieving something and working towards something bigger. What we need to do is just open up your vision just a little bit more so that you can have some short-term validation sometimes, but you're working towards something bigger. Step 2, and this is a big one, fear of failure. And fear of failure is something that I've done so many videos on because it halts so many of us from doing anything, from achieving anything, from trying anything new, because we fear that feeling of getting it wrong. But fear of failure is something that's normal, but failure as a whole is just something that we need to be able to navigate and get used to, because by doing anything important, anything bigger than we're used to, we're probably going to fail. And failure is just showing you the ways that don't work. So rather than focusing on that failure as something that's really bad and getting in the way and making you feel like you're worthless and you can't do it, start seeing it as a necessary step. And this is a topic which I talk a lot about also, because if we're telling everyone about what we're doing, then we're going to fear their judgment. We're going to fear that we have to tell them that we've done something wrong and we've failed. So rather than telling people all those times you got it wrong or all those times that you failed, you could tell them about that one time you got it right. And that one time you get it right means that you get that buzz of happiness or feeling you're good enough. It'll keep you on point to get that long-term reward, and also will stop you procrastinating, because if you're fearing failure, you're always going to be looking for that easier task to do. And if that failure or even attempting something in case you fail is filling you with dread, you're never going to stick at it, because you're not going to be having fun. And you're going to need that short-term validation, that short-term success, in order to get that little bit of buzz, to make you feel good about being you. By doing those long-term reward tasks, you're building something bigger than just doing those short-term gains. So stop fearing failure, as it's just a necessary step in order to get to that end point. Number 3 is when you get stuck, you move on to something else. And that something else isn't on point with what you want to get to. Because feeling stuck and not knowing what to do fills you with a sense of stress, anxiety, tension. So what's happening is that all that stress and anxiety is pushing you to do something. And that could push you to work out the way to do it, or it could push you to do that, again, easier short-term validation task. And what happens is that every time you flit off and do something else rather than focusing on problem solving that issue that you're facing, it means that you're slipping into that old pattern of behavior, which means that, again, you're going to be seeing those short-term validation tasks, those short-term gains, as something that's so much easier and will stop you from focusing where your mind needs to be, which is on that problem that you're facing. And that's the problem with problems, is that they fill you with anxiety, because you don't know what to do next. You feel stuck and you need anything to substitute for that feeling. So you'll pick something easy to do, which is why so many people pick easy tasks to do rather than those long, harder tasks. But by the fact you're watching this video, I know you want more than just doing those short-term tasks. So we need to start to refigure the way that you see that stress. And rather than that stress being something that makes you move away from it, why don't you see that stress as something which is sharing with you how important it is that you get this right and how important it is that you work it out. And remember, as I talked about in step number 2, if you're fearing failure, again, you're not going to want to try anything. So you have no room to maneuver. By working out that failure isn't a bad thing, you can actually say, well, I'm going to fail a couple of times at getting this right, but that's okay. It's just a necessary step in order for me to get to where I need to get to. So that feeling of feeling stuck doesn't mean you have to stop. It just means you can try something over and over and over again. Just keep on point, keep on trying those things, keep on failing until you find the way that does work. And in the end, you end up wanting to fail because it will just be showing you the ways that don't work, and then you can find that way that does. And then you won't need to procrastinate anymore because you'll see the reward in doing that task until you get it right. And leading on from that, number 4 is that you remember something that you needed to do, so you end up going and doing that. And this is something that comes up again when we feel at a loss, stressed, anxiety. Something comes up that leads us to feel that we don't have what it takes to go on. So our brain goes, well, I can do something else and get that, again, a little spike of happiness. So instead of continuing and focusing on the way to accomplish that task, you end up doing something else. And that thing you probably need to do in the end, but what will happen is that you'll have hundreds and hundreds of these little tasks that you've half done because when it's got too hard, you stopped. Whereas if you could start thinking to yourself, okay, I need to get this done before I move on to the next thing, then you'll have completed tasks done. Remember, the reason why you're procrastinating doing those other tasks is because it's easy. So what I'd suggest is this: have a pen and paper ready for you just for those other tasks that you need to do, because I hate for you to forget to do those things. But by writing them down, you're using that energy in order to remember what they are by having it written down, and then you can still focus on the task that you need to do. I'm not saying those tasks aren't important, which is why I'm telling you to write them down, but that doesn't mean you should stop doing what you're doing right now in order to do that other thing. Remember, your brain is wired to try and make you to feel happy, content, and safe. Sometimes you don't feel that way when you're doing that harder task and when you feel stuck, which is why you procrastinate. So keep on point. Try not to let procrastination get in the way of you continuing. And that doesn't mean neglecting doing those other things. Have them written down, but know and feel safe that they're written down for later. Number 5 is structure. And structure is something which many people forget about because we feel the first part is structured, as in when we're going to do something and what we're going to do in the short term. But when it comes to delegating time over the whole of your life to doing that bigger task, we don't feel that we have the right tools or the right map in order to get there, which is why we feel lost. We don't know what to do. We don't know how to go about doing it. We have our laptop ready, we have our camera set up, but we don't know what we're going to say, how we're going to say it, or what the best lighting is, or what the best procedure is, or how best to go about doing that thing. So we feel stuck again, and then we procrastinate. We can have everything around us to make it easy to do that task. But if you don't know what you're doing, or you don't know the right way to go about doing it, then you're always going to give up because you're never going to feel safe. And if you don't feel safe, anxiety, tension, stress comes up. And those are the main reasons why you procrastinate, to get away from those horrible feelings. So then make sure you feel prepared, ready, and you have it all set out so you know what you're going to do. As an example, I have the camera set up, I have the lighting equipment all up and ready, just so I know I can switch on the camera whenever I want and record a video. It makes it so much more likely that I'll do it and go the whole way through, so that that short-term goal of me having a video to upload is done, and at least a long-term goal of me having a YouTube channel with loads of videos on it, helping loads of people. Do you see, by having that roadmap or that plan makes it so much more likely that I'm going to go out and get that thing, because it's all set up. All I've got to do is press go and then I can record it. It makes it easy. So what this video has been about is why it is you procrastinate. And what I've said pretty much in every single one of my points is anxiety. Because as soon as anxiety comes up, those short-term tasks and procrastination helps you to stop feeling anxious. It gives you, again, that short-term gain of validation of getting something right. And that anxiety fades. But what happens is that spike of anxiety might diminish slightly, but it will just keep on coming up in all other parts of life, because you know you have this big job that you want to do. And if you don't get it done, the anxiety will just keep on knocking at the door saying you've got to do this thing. If you never get it done, you'll just be living a life feeling anxious. It's always going to be there. So make sure that you prioritize that bigger task that you know you need to do so that you can enjoy life. Those smaller tasks which are fine to do, but they shouldn't be your whole life. You need to make sure you have both that short-term validation and the long-term reward working together. So you can rest and enjoy that short-term validation once you've got that long-term job or long-term reward under control. So there you are, those are the main reasons why you procrastinate. And what we found out is that anxiety is at the root of that. So next week, what I want to do is to help you diminish your anxiety by sharing with you some nice tools and techniques in order to stop you procrastinating. So make sure you subscribe to see that video, and also plenty more to come. See you soon, take care, bye-bye.